book. Come on.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 action adventure comedy Argylle. The film is directed by Matthew Vaughn and it stars Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, Dua Lipa and John Cena. Now, the film follows Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Ellie Conway, who is a successful writer. She writes some spy novels, like Argylle novels. And we are introduced to Argylle, who is played by Henry Cavill. And it's played in a sense of the character in the book, so he's not a reality figure. Her latest book has come out, and she seems unstoppable and successful in her writing career. However, what she doesn't realise is that the biggest spy organisation in the world, led by Bryan Cranston, wants her to finish her next book because she may well be predicting events that are happening in real time in the world, and she has become incredibly important. So Sam Rockwell's character, Aidan Wilde, who is a spy, looks to look after her and get her to safety. However, there are many twists and red herrings along the way. Right, what are my thoughts on Argylle? Excuse my voice, guys. I've got a little bit of a chest infection, so I might sound a bit croaky. I've been wanting to film this for a few days, to be fair, and I've just not been able to because of not being so good. But I thought I would give it a go because I'm keen to get this review up. Now, this seems to be a bit like Marmite, this film. It seems to be dividing a lot of people. It's almost like there's an awful lot of disappointment out there regarding this film. And after watching it, I have to say, I absolutely understand that point of view from a lot of people. To some degree, this is the film I expected it to be, and then on the other side of that argument, it absolutely isn't. And I think Matthew Vaughn is a very... I don't know, he treats action differently. If any of you have watched, obviously, any of his action movies, the Kingsman movies and the Kick-Ass movies and, all that kind of stuff, he does action differently. It's pretty zany and pretty wacky sort of thing, and this film's no exception. But I think I do have quite a few issues with this film, but I do want to say right off the bat, I think this is very much an entertaining movie to go to the cinema to watch. It's not a massive chore or anything. It's not a bad movie. It just, if you like, there are films, and sometimes we complain that there's not enough like twists or turns or whatever. This film has probably more than any that I can think of in regards to twists, turns, red herrings, whatever you want to call it. It after about 60% of the way into this film, they just keep coming. It's like the domino effect. One twist comes, and then they just come with alarming regularity, and it's almost like just as you've got used to one, another one's on the way, and it's almost like the writers were trying to better themselves, or right, well, I've come up with this twist, well, I've come up with this one, how can we fit him in, sort of thing. It got too much, and that was my biggest takeaway from this film, was that about 60% of the film was fine for me. I like the start. I like the concept of Bryce Dallas Howard's character being this writer, with this imaginary character that everybody loves, and then she's in danger, she's got to be protected, and so on and so forth. I quite like that, but then after about 60% of the way in, there's no other way to say this really, the film just gets a bit bloody stupid, and it almost becomes slapstick from that point onwards in regards to the action, the twists and turns, some of the characters. I wasn't really sure what to make of it, and it's just like after 60% of the way into the film, Matthew Vaughn just turned the volume up to 11 and just went for it and chucked everything at the audience members, and only partial amounts of what he threw at us stuck, in my opinion. Which I do think is a shame, because up to that point I thought it was, very, very well made, very well constructed, with some fun action scenes, fairly interesting characters, and then, like I say, it just got a bit silly. However, I'm not going to give away any spoilers here, but if you're wondering what kind of film this is, if you don't know an awful lot about this film, it's a little bit like a cross between The Long Kiss Goodnight and Total Recall. Make of that what you will. In regards to the casting here, again, this is an odd one, because Bryce Dallas Howard I don't have a problem with at all. Never had a problem with her at all. But I just think she's woefully miscast for half this film. And I don't want to say much more than that, because it will give away spoilers. But for those of you who've seen the film, you'll know what I mean. The first half of the film, she plays that part really, really well. This anxiety-ridden, novelist who loves her cat, sort of thing. She plays that part really, really well. And then the second part of the film, not so much. And I thought that part just didn't work for me. Sam Rockwell is one of my favourite character actors. I just think he's absolutely tremendous in pretty much everything he's ever done. What an actor he is. And he absolutely pulls off the role here as like this, the spy that's protecting Bryce Dallas Howard's character, and he does it with his one-liners and his charm and his quirkiness that he's famous for, Sam Rockwell. But again, after a certain point in this film, he feels miscast, because it doesn't feel like the character we met at the beginning of the film to a large degree. And then, obviously, for those of you who've seen the trailer, you will know that the John Cena and the Henry Cavill characters are just characters in a book. And the only time you see them on the screen is when, it's something relating to one of her books, or when she's imagining that she's talking to Argylle, played by Henry Cavill. So you kind of feel like the characters are pointless, and they don't really have a place in the film because they're not real or anything like that. So there's a lot in this film to digest, and then you've got Samuel L. Jackson in the film. You've got the list goes on. Catherine O'Hara. You've got literally, they go like that. It's like they've just tried to put too much into this film. They've almost sewn all this stuff into the film and hope it don't pop out of the seams. There's too much going on. They needed, I think, to simplify it a little bit, crank down on the volume and the over-the-top, ridiculous slapstick stuff that we get from like 60% on. But, while I am a little disappointed with this film, it's not exactly the film I hoped for. I still don't think it's a bad film. And it's a film I'll watch again, just to see if I can... it's a film that I'd want to add to my collection, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. So if you wanted to go and have a decent time at the cinema, you could do far worse than this film. But like I say, I just think there's too much going on in here, and I think they tried too much, and only about 40% of it worked, really. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review for Argylle. If you did, please click the like button. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.